Hello, today I'm going to be bringing to you chicken and brown sauce. This is a dish that I make often and it's real easy to make. The base seasoning is going to be this Ocho Rios Jamaican style spicy jerk seasoning. I use about 3 tablespoons. You can use more if you're cooking more or if you want more of that jerk flavor. I also have a pepper sauce that I use to kick up the spice. I'm going to be cooking chicken today, but I've used it with beef and goat. To brown the chicken, you're going to need 3 to 4 tablespoons of olive oil. I use a cube of Maggi. We have 2 tablespoons of tomato paste. I'll have it in this container to freeze it. I use 2 teaspoons of salt. You can use more to taste. I have this base seasoning is parsley, green onions, garlic, clove, thyme, oil, vegetable oil, and vinegar. And you just put it in the blender, blend it all up. It keeps well in the refrigerator. Just put it in an old container and it keeps real well because you have that distilled white vinegar in there. And it's pretty much the base seasoning for most Haitian dishes, even though I'm cooking Jamaican today. But most Haitians use it in all their dishes. I'm also going to be putting carrots in mine. This is optional. And I'm going to also put the green onions, small. Well, you know, every Haitian dish has some kind of pepper, but green peppers, a small onion, and some thyme. Okay, we're gonna start off with a nice hot pan. We're gonna put our olive oil in there. The olive oil is to ensure the chicken doesn't stick to the bottom of the pan. And we want it hot to make sure that we get a nice brown color on the chicken. You start adding your chicken, put it in one layer, and if it crowds the pan too much, you can do it in multiple layers. Also, if your chicken is wet, be careful because the oil will pop back on you. As you can see, I'm just throwing it in there because I really don't care to get burnt by hot grease. So I'm just going to move it around to make sure that all the chicken is touching the bottom of the pan so it can get brown evenly all across, well, evenly on one side. And then when time is ready to flip the chicken, I flip it over and make sure all of it get touching the bottom of the pan so that side can get brown also. You want to just cook it. You're not cooking it so to be done. You're cooking it to get brown because when we make our sauce, we're gonna let it finish cooking in the sauce to infuse the flavor. I'm adding salt now because you want to layer the flavors. So I'm adding the salt, and when I flip it, I'm gonna salt the other side also. You don't really have to salt it heavily because the flavor. I mean, if you like salt, you can salt it the way you like it. But I don't add that much salt because when you have the other flavors, plus the jerk seasoning has salt in it also. But when you add the other flavors, you really don't miss the salt. That's the best way. If you're trying to create a low sodium diet, just add extra flavors from different seasonings, and it helps to give you a flavor that you can eat with a lower sodium in your food. So I'm gonna just go ahead and let this fry up, and when we come back, I'm gonna show you the chicken brown, well, and then show you the brown chicken. Then I'm gonna show you how to make the sauce once the chicken is completely brown. So I'll be right back. Okay, now we're gonna make our sauce. We're gonna continue using the same pot because we have all that good flavor at the bottom. We have the chicken fat and the olive oil, and all that flavor is good. We're gonna use the oils at the bottom to saute the peppers and onions. You really don't have to saute them that much because once you start cooking it or letting it simmer on the stove top, it breaks down the peppers and onions a little more. So if you want a crunchier or want more of a crunch with those, you can add those a little later. I like mine cooked through, so I'm gonna go ahead and um, cook them now. We'll saute them now. And also you want to try to scrape up all the bits at the bottom of the pot because that is flavor and it'll help to get that flavor infused in the pepper and onions. And we're going to add some water a little later, so that'll also help to get all the little scrapings off the bottom. I don't add any more salt because I think I've added enough in the beginning of the when I was frying the chicken or browning the chicken. And also, like I said, I'll add not just the jerk sauce. I add this pepper sauce here is lemon juice, a whole bottle of lemon juice. We have about 20 habanero peppers in there, some garlic, about 3 cloves of garlic, and 2 teaspoons of salt. And what I do is I'll get the habaneros, garlic, and salt, and I put a little bit of lemon juice in there just so the habaneros don't get stuck, or so that when you blend it, it's not just sticking to the bottom, it's actually able to blend. I'll put it in the blender and let it blend. Make sure that when you blend them, when you messing with the habanero peppers, that you do use gloves because the oils do get in your fingers and will burn it. And this Ocho Rios is the extra spice. But yeah, the habanero oils, you don't want to get it on your fingers, then touch your mouth or touch your eye because then it'll start to burn, of course. And just let this cook down a little bit. And we're going to add the extra seasoning. That was the mix of the parsley, the garlic, the green onions, and oil and vinegar. And we'll just add this Maggi cube also. And you want to make sure that you get that well dissolved in the sauce because nobody wants to bite into Maggi cube because they are a bit salty, and that's another bit of added salt to it. That's why I don't salt the dish anymore, because you have the initial salt, you have the Maggi cube which contains salt, and then you have some salt in the Ocho Rios seasoning, so that's enough salt for the whole dish. And just let that cook down a little bit. And sorry it's out of focus, I wasn't keeping an eye on the camera evidently. Now we want to add our tomato paste. It's about 2 tablespoons, 2 good heaping scoops of tomato paste. And I put it in a container to freeze it, but I probably need to start using ice cube trays because what I usually do is put it in that container and just hack and saw at it. But I figured if I put it in ice trays, it'd probably be more convenient. Just take a cube out and use it one cube at a time instead of struggling trying to saw at the tomato paste, side the tomato paste and get as much out as I need. Probably need to invest in an ice cube tray. And the tomato paste is going to help thicken the sauce. So we just stir that up. And tomato paste also, you want to make sure that you get it well incorporated because that tends to stay lumpy for some reason. I don't know. I never really used tomato paste until I started dating my boyfriend, and he was like, "Did you put tomato paste in it? Did you put tomato paste in it?" So I started putting tomato paste in everything, and we're gonna add our jerk seasoning. And I usually use a lot just to keep the flavors going. And it has a nice flavor. It has thyme in it, clove, cinnamon, and other flavors. It's a nice flavor. It says spicy, but if you use it by itself, it's really not that spicy. Once I added that pepper sauce in, that's what really kicked up the spices. So you want to stir this up, and I'm going to go ahead and get me some water. I'm going to use about, oh wait, I forgot the thyme. Let me put the thyme in there. Thyme is a seasoning, well, herb that I never really used before, but I really like it. That and parsley and cilantro I'm starting to like also. But rosemary, I used that once. I don't know if I overused it or what. I really didn't like that. I really didn't care too much for it. Okay, we're going to get the water. It was 2 cups of water. And this is just to make the sauce. And I'm using cold water, so everything, I don't know why I'm using cold water. I just always do. And once it starts to come back up to a boil, that's when I add my additional carrots and then the chicken back. And right now, when it comes up to a boil, it's going to help to break down that whatever's stuck at the bottom of the pot too. So you can continue to scrape the bottom and bring up whatever is left at the bottom of the pot. So I'm going to let this boil. We'll come back up to a boil. And continue to scrape whatever I can get up off the bottom of the pot. And when you boil, well, when you're thickening something, the sauce is going to be the most thickest when it starts to boil. So right now it's kind of loose, but when it starts to boil, it comes up. It's going to be like the most thickest it's going to get. And if you continue to let it boil, it'll get thicker because the steam is evaporating. So if you make like a regular brown gravy or something and it is too thick, that's because you let it boil out too much. You just add more water, loosen it up, and hopefully you don't get any lumps. And it's thick, but it's not like a brown gravy that you'll put over mashed potatoes thick. it's, watch them. Water, what does it say? A watch pot never boils. I'm gonna go ahead. I'm gonna go ahead and put the carrots in. They're like the little baby carrots. They say that they are pre-washed, but I like to rinse them off anyway, just to be sure. And adding them at this point, they're going to be kind of firm still. It's not going to be like a mushy carrot. It's still going to have some kind of firmness to it. It's going to be cooked, but it's not going to be mush cooked, which I like. So, and I put about 2 handfuls of carrots in there. I probably should have put the rest of the bag because we don't eat carrots outside of the food. Well, raw carrots, we don't eat raw carrots. And just stir that around. What I'm doing is trying to create a little space to nestle the chicken inside. So I'm pushing everything to the side. And gonna put my chicken back in. And make sure it's touching, well, getting some kind of coverage with the liquid or the sauce. And this is probably going to cook another 20-25 minutes on the stove top. I was going to put it in the oven because I was feeling lazy, but I'm going to just go ahead and let it finish on the stove top. It's not that big of a deal either way. It comes out the same. You just have to cut it down a little lower. You got to cut the temperature down a little lower to so it won't be at a rapid boil. You just want it to simmer. You don't want it to boil. And just turn the chicken to make sure all the surface areas get some kind of sauce on it, so it does get some kind of flavor infused inside the chicken. And when it starts to boil up, it'll cover the chicken also. And I like to cook it where it's almost falling off the bone, but not quite. Well, it's falling off the bone, but if you cook it too long where it becomes a soupy mess, I really don't like that texture of the chicken. So I try to make sure it's somewhat falling off the bone, but not where it's so soft that it's like, you know, that potted meat texture. I don't really care for that. So I'm just gonna let this boil out, cook out for a little while, about 20-25 minutes. And after that, I probably still serve it over some white rice or the vegetable rice, depends on whichever one I have or feel like cooking. And I hope you enjoy this dish, and you can either comment or let me know what you think about it, or if you plan on trying it. Whatever you choose to do, I hope you do enjoy it. And I thank you for watching. Have a great day, night, morning, whatever. Thank you. Have a good one. Thanks for watching. Bye.